Greetings and salutations. I'm hanging out with this Adelie penguin. Reason? I'm reviewing another TV series called The Penguins of Madagascar. As soon as this penguin gives the signal, the review begins. The story. Let's get cracking with the story. A rookery of penguins with attitude, leaders Skipper, Brainy Kowalski, Loony Rico, and young Private in the Central Park Zoo embarks on what it seems as a series of strike force missions until confronting an unwelcome challenge to its dominance from a new zoo resident, Julian, King of the Lemurs, in a sequel to the hit animated movies. Do you want my opinion on this show? Well, I got to see many different types of animals. The characters. Since there's nothing to say about the animation, let's skip right ahead to the characters. Skipper, Kowalski, Private, and Rico are 4 penguins who perform various commando-like missions to protect their home in the Central Park Zoo. They often have to deal with problems caused or made worse by their zoo neighbors. Julian, Maurice, and Mort are 2 lemurs and an aye. Julian considers himself to be king over all the animals he encounters, but is oblivious to their dislike of him. Maurice accepts his life as a servant, but he often shows disdain towards Julian and his inconsiderate attitude. Mort is fiercely devoted to Julian, even displaying an obsession with the lemur's feet. Mason and Phil are 2 intelligent chimpanzees. Mason can speak and is very civilized and refined. Phil is mute but is the only animal in the zoo that can read. Then there's Marlene the otter, who was transferred to the Central Park Zoo from the Monterey Bay Aquarium. She is close friends with Skipper and sometimes tags along on his missions, but she is often a neutral character who does not take sides between the penguins and the lemurs. Private appears to speak in a middle-class British accent, as opposed to the other penguins. The exception here is Rico, who hardly talks and mainly communicates in grunts, and most of the zoo animals who speak with American accents. Here are some comments for me to lay out for the conclusion of this review. Tom McGrath, who voiced Skipper, John DiMaggio, who voiced Rico, Andy Richter, who voiced Mort, and Conrad Vernon, who voiced Mason, are the only cast members from the films to reprise their roles, while Jeff Bennett, James Patrick Stewart, Danny Jacobs, and Kevin Michael Richardson took over Chris Miller, Christopher Knight, Sacha Baron Cohen, and Cedric the Entertainer as Kowalski, Private, King Julian, and Maurice. A running joke throughout the series is when something, like a bomb, is thrown off camera and an explosion or a crash is heard, followed by a voice yelling, "My car!" In the episode, The Return of the Revenge of Dr. Blowhole, the shout is in Japanese. Instead of being voiced by studio members at DreamWorks Animation like in the films and video games, all the penguins in this series except for Skipper were all voiced by professional voice actors. According to Tom McGrath, the TV series takes place in a separate or alternate continuity from the movies, making this show non-canon. The license plate on the penguins' car says, "I love Bon Jovi," which they got in New Jersey, where the band originated from. Nicole Sullivan, who voiced Marlene, and Mary Shear, who voiced Alice, were original cast members of Mad TV and were castmates for the first 3 seasons. The show was announced to be renewed for a 2nd season before it even premiered. Same said for Kung Fu Panda: Legends of Awesomeness. Well, I better return to America now. It's been fun hanging with the penguins here in Antarctica, but you know, there are lots more movies and shows to discuss, so be sure to join me on our next review. Until then, this is your pal, JD Eagle, saying, see you later!